This clear roadmap will also give us a way of strategically prioritizing the tremendous demand that we have now on GCF resources. Prioritizing so that developing countries will get the greatest value and the highest quality of support and projects. It will ensure that while we are addressing climate change as a long-term issue, we will nevertheless ensure that we have results and that we have impact now on the ground in the short term. Let me close by thanking you again for the tremendous support you are showing for the Green Climate Fund with your presence here, and also to thank you for the gracious hospitality that you have extended to us. Thank you.
Thank you, Sue. Excellencies, distinguished guests, member of the board, the executive director, and the staff of the GCF Secretariat. On behalf of the developing countries constituency, let me first extend our gratitude for the warm and traditional hospitality that we have received from the government and the people of the Republic of Liberia. I take this opportunity to thank the Minister for Finance and Development Planning, the Foreign Minister, senior officials of the Government of Liberia, and other distinguished guests for joining us. This meeting comes at a critical junction for the GCF, as we gather here to deliberate over one of the fundamental building blocks of the fund, a strategic plan that will set the fund's strategic priorities for the coming years. As a country-driven organization, we aspire for the GCF to respond effectively to the needs and priorities of the developing countries. Within this context, our site visit later today will enable us to witness firsthand the reality of climate change in Liberia, understand the particular challenges as well as the needs of the country, and assess how the GCF can contribute to achieving the impact at scale. I close by especially thanking Jeremiah, our fellow board member on the GCF board, who has worked tirelessly to bring us together here so that we can candidly discuss and gain clarity on some of the issues that underpin development of a robust, informed, and implementable strategic plan. Once again, I thank you for hosting us, and I look forward to a positive outcome of this meeting. I now invite the Honorable Minister of Finance and Development Planning, His Excellency Samuel Tweh Jr., for his welcoming and opening remarks. Excellency, over to you.
Thank you. Co-chairs and distinguished members of the Green Climate Fund Board, officials of government, our development partners, ladies and gentlemen. Excellencies, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome you all to Liberia, Africa's oldest republic. Liberia is home to the Sabo National Park, one of the largest primary tropical rainforests in Africa, with the highest mammal species diversity of any region in the world. A breathtaking natural beauty extends to beaches along the 560-kilometer coast and along Loch Mountains in the north. At the outset, I'd like to thank the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Climate Change Secretariat, this is Jeremiah Sokan, various government institutions, and all dedicated staff that took up the challenge to host this meeting in Liberia. I'm aware that the board of the Green Climate Fund will be considering and reviewing the 4-year strategic plan for approval of the next board meeting. We applaud the focus on collective action for the reduction of greenhouse gas emissions and support for adaptation efforts in line with the Paris Agreement. We're encouraged to see the commitment of countries all over the world to establish a flow of climate finance in terms of USD 10.3 billion worth of pledges to the fund. Your Excellencies, Liberia continues to make steady progress in economic, infrastructural, social, and political development. Still, With some of the highest rainfall in the world and rapid pace of deforestation, Liberia is more and more vulnerable to climate change. This is manifested in higher temperatures, more extreme weather events, such as heavy rains, devastating flooding and storms, and coastal erosion. In 2018, heavy rains caused one of the worst floods to occur in Liberia, affecting over 50,000 people. These climate-related events have also exacted tolls in the areas of health, education, food, water, sanitation, and social protection. The government of Liberia's flagship development plan, the Purple Agenda for Prosperity and Development, identifies agriculture, fisheries, and forestry as critical sectors for achieving inclusive economic growth and poverty reduction goals. These sectors, however, rely heavily on climate-sensitive activities. For example, agriculture, which creates about 7% of jobs, suffers from land degradation and is vulnerable to the impact of climate change, giving us reliance on climate-sensitive staple crops like rice. Saltwater and freshwater fisheries, critical economic and nutritional resources, are likely to suffer as sea temperatures increase and coastal ecosystems are damaged. Still, Liberia is committed to meeting its obligations under the Paris Agreement. Following the completion of our climate vulnerability and risk assessment of the impact of climate change, we adopted a national climate change policy and response strategy. The plan aims to safeguard long-term development in vulnerable sectors like agriculture, fisheries, forestry, and energy in a sustainable manner. This policy document is guiding the integration of climate-smart principles into the master plan and work of all line ministries. In 2020, Liberia will be finalizing its national adaptation plan, which outlines our long and short-term adaptation strategies. We're also revising our nationally determined contributions to improve the coordination and implementation of climate resilient effort in our most vulnerable communities. And also, I wish to applaud GCF's momentum in progressive support for climate action, and in particular, the initial response mobilization between 2015 and 2019, which realized $9.7 billion, dedicated for 112 projects. Through the Readiness and Preparatory Support Program, Liberia received a $2.2 million grant for implementation of Liberia's National Action Plan. Excellencies, amid today's realities of rising debt, macroeconomic instabilities, and trade imbalances, mitigating climate change risks present smart, innovative opportunities for pursuing and financing development in African countries. The Green Climate Fund has important roles to play in scaling up climate finance opportunities for African countries. Data from the African Carbon Support Program of the African Development Bank shows that in 2014, Africa's shares of projects under the Kyoto Protocol's Clean Development Mechanism was a mere 2.9%, compared to Latin America's 14% and the Asian Pacific region's 81%. We implore the GCF and other international stakeholders such as the World Bank to work with countries to resolve constraints and accelerate actions toward accessing carbon instruments and markets as options for development financing. Over the next 2 years, the government of Liberia will scale up its efforts to greening the Liberian economy and developing smarter approaches to carbon financing as envisaged in its National Adaptation Plan and other climate-related strategies. Though still at moderate risk of debt distress, Liberia faces acute debt service burdens in the coming years as multilateral concessional loans from previous years reach the expiry of their grace periods. This enjoins upon the government the importance of pursuing more creative development financing options. Leveraging our carbon potential to the fullest is one such option. At the sidelines of the COP25 held on December 9, 2019 in Spain, Madrid, the World Bank announced the Partnership for Market Implementation with country partners including Canada, Chile, Germany, Japan, Norway, Spain, and the United Kingdom. The partnership will provide technical assistance to countries to design, pilot, and implement carbon pricing and market instruments. It will support direct implementation of carbon pricing in at least 10 developing countries and help a further 20 countries get ready to do so. Under our new accelerated Green Climate Drive, our government will engage this partnership while working to meet preconditions and to resolve all issues and challenges that can bedevil this engagement. In the next 2 years, we aim to place Liberia on the preparedness and readiness path to leverage a significant increase in the quantum of carbon financing. Liberia has much to contribute to the green climate revolution. As the host to the most expensive forest cover of the Upper Guinea Forest region, we're determined to maintain this abundant natural resource for the continuous absorption of CO2 emissions. Finally, I hope that you will find time to enjoy our historic country. its natural beauty, and its cultural diversity. President Franklin D. Roosevelt visited Liberia in 1943 to discuss with President Edwin J. Barclay various aspects of World War II. This is just a minuscule sign of the historic importance of our country. A visit to our Sapo National Park, about the densest of the West African rainforest, will overwhelm you, and the generosity and the hospitality of the Liberian spirit will awe you. Please enjoy your stay. With these remarks, it is my pleasure to declare this GCF Informal Board meeting officially open, at which we spirited the successful deliberations. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Minister, for your remarks and highlighting the challenges, the climate change challenges faced by the country, the priorities of the government, and also the Liberia's expectation from the GCF, and how best the fund can align the priorities of the fund to best support climate action in Liberia. With this, I now close this part of the meeting, and we can have a break now, so that our distinguished guests can depart. Thank you.
Distinguished participants, thank you for coming.